Agreed to do an impromptu speech, and he has given me the title of Driver's Education.
Excellent.
Please help me welcome up Jim. Thank you.
Disney World, Busch Gardens, Six Flags, we recognize these places as being amusement parks. The question is, why do we go to amusement parks? What are we seeking when we go to any one of these places?
Spend money.
Spend money. Lots. That is correct. We're seeking the thrill rides, right? The roller coasters, the drops, the swings, that's really what we go for. What if there was a way to get that exact same thrill, that same feeling of total out of controlness without having to spend, $80, $90, $100? Fabulous news, folks. It is possible to do that. All you really have to do is pick a family member, it can be any family member who doesn't currently drive, and offer to teach them to drive. You will feel thrills! Your life will flash in front of your eyes. You'll wonder, what the hell am I doing here? So in my particular situation, I have 3 children. My 20-year-old daughter amazingly drives herself these days. I think I taught her to drive. I really can't remember doing that, but I think that's like a protective thing, like in the brain, like where we shut down and we push harmful or distressing thoughts away. So I don't really remember doing it. But right now, I have a 17-year-old son who, and here's the weird part, okay, so in our school system, I think when you're 15, you can get your learner's permit, right? And at that point in time, hey, I know when I was growing up, man, give me that learner's permit, Dad, let's go learn to drive, right? He didn't care. Obviously, 2 years went by, and he's like, yeah, whatever, no big deal. But now he's starting to go, hey, maybe I should learn to drive. And I'm thinking, I'm going to kick your butt out of my house. You're better than how to drive, yeah. Anyway, so he's 17 years old. He's now willing to learn to drive, which means it's in our family dynamic, in our family structure, that's my responsibility. Okay, that's what Dad does. Dad teaches the children to drive. So how do you teach somebody to drive? I mean, think about it. When we drive, you're on autopilot. You get in, you turn it on, the car drives, you get it out of the parking spot, you see other cars, you don't hit them, thank you, they don't hit you, thank you very much. We've done it so long and for so often that we don't even think about driving anymore. Now I'm in a situation where I have to teach somebody to drive. Okay. Well, where do you go to teach somebody to drive? First off, you don't want other cars around, at least right off the bat. Dear God, this person should not be near anybody, right? So in my particular situation, that means we're going to the mall. By the way, if you've ever gone to a mall, I would urge you not to do that because apparently people are practicing driving in the mall. Okay, so it's not good for you. So we go to the mall, we go off to the corner, the part of the mall where nobody ever parks, and that's where we do our driving, right? Now it's actually sort of interesting because when I first put them behind the wheel, we have to go through like the parts of the car. So where's your turn signal? Where are your lights? How do you get the windows to go up and down, et cetera, et cetera. So we go through all these things that I never think of, right? The car just works, right? One interesting thing, and actually something I thought that was really, excuse me, I'm patting myself on the back, that's okay. One important thing is how the mirrors work. So you've got 2 mirrors in the car, right? You've got the big one, we'll call it the big one, and you've got the side mirror, right? But for the person who's driving, the thing that you have to teach them, arguably the most important thing you have to teach them, is that as good as those mirrors are, they're not perfect. And you've got a blind spot. And somehow you have to teach this beginning driver that there's this thing called a blind spot, and they had better be cranking their head, right? They better be looking. So how do you do that? Outside of putting them in a dangerous situation and going, oh my God, you just killed yourself, Yeah. So what I did is I walked behind the car, way behind the car, and I said, okay, now look at me in the big mirror. And then I walked towards the car, and I moved through the big mirror, and eventually I wasn't in the big mirror anymore, but I was in the side mirror. And I kept walking towards the car, and I moved through the side mirror, and eventually I wasn't in the side mirror anymore. And I said to him, hey, I'm still here. And if I'm a car, I'm still here. I said, so how are you going to see me? And I was like, well, I can see you right there. Aha! You turned your head, okay? So look at the big mirror, look at the side mirror, check your blind spot. Over and over and over we say that, trying to drill it into them. So we're in the mall, he backs up the car, and then what we start doing is going up and down the lanes in the mall. Initially there's no cars around, thank God, okay? And then we go up and down the lanes where there's cars, and I'm thinking, oh shit, 15,000, 30,000, 60,000, please do not hit these cars, okay? And we do that successfully, so that's good. Now, one other thing, and I was very proud of myself for thinking of this, we did parking with real cars. So, you know, you find that spot where there's one car and then there's an open spot, so you pull in, you park next to it, off to your right. And you find another spot where there's a car off to the left, and you pull in, you know, no car on the right-hand side, you pull in, you park in it, and get that all squared away. And eventually you work up to the ultimate, 2 cars, and you park in between them. And you do that successfully, so we're all good with that. After we got that all started squared away, then we started driving around. You know, every mall has like a perimeter road, I guess you would say, that goes around. So we started driving around that, which is good, because there's an occasional car there every once in a while, right? You also have to worry about cars coming out, because everyone's leaving and going into the mall and stuff like that. So you get a little dynamic action going on, but it's like low scale. It's not like like that. And you get to teach them the concept of, hey, you know, that was a stop sign you just went through. So just real quickly, traditionally when we see the stop sign, we stop. Okay, let's sort of work on that. So we did that for a while. Something very interesting. My son became bored with this. He became bored with driving around the mall. I'm like, shut up! You don't know how to drive. Go back to the mall and drive some more. Yeah, no, he's bored with that. So eventually, you know, the big day comes. And we're coming out of the house, and I say, hey, why don't you drive us to the mall? Wow. So finally, he got to drive me to the mall, which I'm, you know, meant going like in real traffic and stuff like that. Woo! Okay, so that's all exciting. So now, so we've gone on to sort of like the next phase of the driving thing. So where he drives me places. Now the challenge is, my thinking is, if I have to go someplace, I get in the car and I go. Right? End of story. Now I have to be thinking, oh damn it. I have to artificially come up with some place to go so he can drive me there, right? Hey, we're gonna go to Publix. Why? We need bananas. That's why we're gonna go to Publix. Oh, okay, good. Hey, I'm going to the gym. You're driving me. I don't want to go to the gym. Shut up. You're driving me. Okay, so we're doing this. So it's going to that. He is progressing as a driver, so this is good stuff. However, you know, I think this is the trick with dealing with beginning drivers. They do progress. They do become better, but they're not an experienced driver. In fact, we were coming home the other day, and we were getting ready to make a left-hand turn across traffic, and the light was red. And he cruises right up, and he's going to go right into the intersection so he can make his left-hand turn, which is what he's focused. And I'm like, how about if we stop? Because it's a red light. He's like, oh, well, yeah, but if you get into the intersection, you can still make a turn on a red. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Got no problem with that. But you can't actually go into the intersection if it's red. So let's just be real clear about this, because then you're going to be blocking everybody. So we've got a ways to go. Now, interesting enough, just as a little point of fact here, in Florida, what they say is after you get your learner's permit, they expect you to have 50 hours of driving experience before you go take your test. Here's the scary part, 10 of those are supposed to be at night. So I've gotten encouraged to do that again, but eventually I'm going to have to. Thank you very much, Mrs.
Tim? 1 minute on the clock, please. Now, I have 3 boys, so I can fully relate to that situation because I've taught all 3 of mine to drive.